Hey y'all, this is George Runkle with Runkle Consulting Incorporated, and in this video I'm going to talk about how we're doing plumbing now. One of the issues that we have with plumbing and shipping containers is where to run the waste pipe, and I'll show you the issue that we have and how we've solved it in a recent design, and I think we're going to do this in most of our future design problems that we run into here. Now, we are a structural firm, but because of a number of reasons, we've taken over doing mechanical, electrical, and plumbing design of shipping containers also for the simpler projects. Mainly because we're more familiar with the product that we're doing the piping and electrical in, and I think we can do a design job that better suits our customers since we're familiar with the structure and we can work out how to put everything in. So anyway, let's go ahead and get down to it in this video. Okay, let's talk about one of the main issues, the main issue with putting plumbing inside of shipping container buildings. And let's go here to look at this. Underneath the containers, we've got these cross members here, and we only have 6 inches of space underneath the container. And that gives us a problem with trying to run the plumbing lines because I don't have enough room to run a plumbing line underneath and get the slope that I need to get out of the container. So we have got to come up with, there's 2 different ways you can handle this. One is you build the container building like 18, 24 inches up off the ground on a crawl space so somebody can get up under there and put the plumbing in. Or, which is not really a feasible item, is you stub the plumbing up in the ground like you do in a conventional house, and you try to build on top of that with the shipping containers. But the problem is when you're placing the containers on the ground is trying to get it in the plumbing that's stubbed up in the right place to fit in the shipping container and getting the shipping container in the right location. It's pretty difficult, and you're going to have some real issues with that. I mean, you'd have to really be exact with where you put your plumbing and exact with where you set your containers as you're setting them down, and try not to break off the plumbing. So what the solution is, and I'll show you, and this was not done as a solution to that problem, but it turned out to be a good solution, is we have what's here. This toilet that we've got here is called a macerating toilet, and what happens is when you flush it, all the waste goes in this tank and gets ground up into small itty-bitty pieces, and it can be then pumped out into a 1-inch diameter pipe, which is a pretty good deal. And and in this case we're pumping it up here and we're sending it into a tank, a black water tank, where it'll be pumped out later, because where we're putting this in we don't have attachment to sanitary sewer. But if you notice here now, I've got all my waste plumbing is up in the ceiling. I'm no longer having to worry about trying to cross through the cross members underneath. Now another problem that it solves here, see I've got the sink here out in the middle of the container building here, and I'm running up my plumbing up here and up across the ceiling using an injection pump here, which is quite convenient. So let's show you how that solves a problem here. The problem is, let's go here, is if we tried to do it through the base. Now you have to excuse these little things here. I'm going to turn these off to make it, we don't need, come on. And we'll turn these off. There we go. Okay. All right. The problem is that sink is somewhere down around here. In fact, this it was right around here. I'd have to run the plumbing across here to link up with the plumbing over here. And that means I'm not going to get the slope. I have with sanitary plumbing with waste pipes, you have to have a slope of like 1/8 an inch to the foot, 1/4 inch per foot, depending on what the building code says, in order to get your run that'll carry all the stuff that's mixed in with the sewage. And I'd have to run it underneath of here. I can't, well, for one thing, I can't cut holes in these side rails to the size I need without weakening the structure. And if I try to drop it down below, again, if I don't have a crawl space underneath, if I'm just trying to drop it in the slab, we're stuck trying to have a stub up in the ground before we set the containers. And we got to set the containers exactly right. And we got to try not to break the stub up as we're putting the container in place. And if you've ever seen trying to work on something that on a construction site with setting a container, that's a tall order, because these things are swinging back and forth as you're lowering them down with the crane, and to try to lower it over a pipe without breaking that pipe is going to be next to impossible. So by going back to, let's go back and show it again, our plumbing. If we go back and take a look here, back where our sink is, we're avoiding that completely, but just by pumping everything up in the ceiling, and I can just cross over between the containers without a problem because I'm below the top rail but above the ceiling, and all my plumbing's in the ceiling now. All my water pipe, my waste pipe, everything's up there. It makes life a lot easier. Now I still have some waste pipe here from the air handling units that's going out to the side, but that's much easier to deal with. That's a 1/2 inch pipe as opposed to a 2-inch pipe. And then even in over here, I use some pumps to pump up through the ceiling again. So this is one of the things that we just recently found out using this project, and it became an aha moment. It's like, why haven't we been doing this all along? Because it solves a serious issue with the plumbing. Otherwise, if we go with like multi-story buildings, we get into quite a jam, as if we either have to stack all the bathrooms all up above each other so we can run a waste stack all the way down, or we have to put a plenum in between the containers, at least 18 inches, so that people can get in there, and you can plumb this in and get in there to do maintenance. But using the macerating toilets, we can pump everything up in the ceiling. We don't need to stack the bathrooms anymore. We can put the bathrooms in other places, although it's good practice to stack your bathrooms, believe me. But we don't have to do it. We have a lot more freedom in our design work now by being able to have the sewage going out under pressure. So I'm going to be doing this more often in our designs, and even with the standard design of shipping containers on the ground, 1 story, even if it's going to be on a crawl space, I'm still better off to grind up the sewage and pump it under pressure, because it makes putting in all the things like your vent stacks a lot easier, and how you're running your pipe. Before, in this job here where I was having the sewage going underground, I had a very bizarre kind of layout for putting in the vent pipes here, but with this system I can run the vent pipes directly behind the toilet without getting in the way of anything else, and all of a sudden everything is much easier. And since I'm only dealing with an outlet pipe that's of 1 inch diameter, that makes life easier also. So everything just turns out much easier using this pressure system and the macerating toilets and the lift pump for the sink. So that's what we learned in the past couple of weeks, and that's what we're going to be going with. And I hoped I could share this with you. And thanks for viewing the video, and until the next time, we'll see you later. Take care.